and we are excited for the first ever NLL 6's fantasy draft. In the spirit of the PLL 6's tournament that was held last weekend, we are going to roll with our own fantasy tournament that is basically going to be where the concept is the NLL is taking an all-star break this coming weekend, and our 4 GMs are selecting rosters for this tournament that will happen, and we're going to go in snaking draft order. The draft order will be drawn soon from the Vessel of Destiny, which I will display now. And we freezing Adam. Trust us, Adam Levy is here, and he will be back and live again shortly. We are in the, oh my goodness, Adam will be rejoining us. He has actually left the meeting.
I just muted you for a second, Stamper. We're going to a commercial break real quick, everybody. We will be right back in 2 seconds. We'll try to get him lined up here, because if not, I got to readjust everybody. We're looking at like half of your face and half of his face. Hopefully he'll be right back. If he's not back in 30 seconds, we'll just tell him to go audio only like Chris is doing. That seems to keep the bandwidth down a little bit. I don't know if you want to call him real quick, Stamper, and tell him that. All right, everybody, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to ITWOBL. We have 4 GMs. We can only see 2 of us, but Chris Rosenthall is here. Rosie.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
There we go. Adam Levy.
Yes, I am here.
Yes. There we go. We're just having some issues, but we're good to go. So as we mentioned, it is a fantasy NLL 6's draft in the spirit of the PLL 6's tournament from last weekend, and in the spirit of the 4 Nations face-off. We will be doing something similar. We will be drafting teams who are using World Lacrosse rules, so it will be 12 players per team, and we will do a snaking draft order, soon to be drawn from the Vessel of Destiny, and we are about to get started. Each GM will have 1 minute per selection. You don't have to use the whole minute, but we will have 1 minute. And as said in the group email, chirping of other GMs, strongly encouraged. Now, I'm going to turn to my lovely and talented assistant and wife, Carrie McMaster, to select the first name for the first pick from the Vessel of Destiny.
Okay, I'm excited.
With the 4 and 5 picks, yeah, 2's good. Third will be Dan. And fourth, I'm going to just pull this one out because I know who's left, and that's Chris. So Rosie gets the coveted 4/5 spot. So the order will go Stephen, Adam, Dan, Chris, Chris, Dan, Adam, Stephen, Stephen, Adam, Dan, Chris, Chris, Dan, Adam, Stephen, as such. So Greg Beecher is our moderator with Blue Squatch Productions. And Greg, you are going to be putting up the teams. And we will have a 60-second timer up here for each pick. Greg, you let me know when we're ready to roll, and I'm ready with my first pick. Okay, I'm not going to take long. I have prepared for this. Because I am picking first, I am going to go with a goaltender to start things off, and I'm going to take Brett Dobson.
Wow, going with the goalie.
Sure. Well, yeah, because there's not many goalies. That's one big thing, right? There's not a lot of goalies available in the NLL that play the field game. There are, I think, 4 fairly obvious choices to me. There are a few others who are two-flaw All-Canadians like Thomas Kaiser, Connor O'Toole, and Cam McLeod. But I think Brett Dobson, I think, is the best field goalie in the world right now, so I'm going to take him to start my team. And who's up now? Adam.
Okay, Stamper. I am up now. I am going to go with Zach Courier on this one, mostly just because super fast, super athletic, very talented. I think he would be a big asset to any team.
Agreed. That's a great pick. See, that's why I wasn't sure I wanted one, because I mean, I'm happy to get Dobson, but I would have been happy with any goalie. But anyway, we will go on to Dan Arestia with his first pick in the draft.
You guys are going goalie. You're going transition. Give me Josh Byrne with my first pick. Give me offense. Give me goals. We're playing 6's. I need a weapon. I need somebody who can score from anywhere. So I am going with Josh Byrne as my first pick.
That's a pretty good pick.
Thrown off by the goalie pick early.
Really?
But I am actually going to kind of trail that wake. I'm taking Dane Smith to start things off. Trust him with the ball. I need somebody who can distribute and score quickly. So I'm going with old Dane to start. And let's see here. So that's the end of the first round. Off the second round. You know what? Why don't you give me Jeff Teat?
I was going to go with that.
Before. He knows how to score, as we've seen. Just barely in the top 20 this year, but I am not at all concerned by it. You're going to put him on the field with all-stars, and he'll be just fine.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of variation from the norm here. Those are the tops of my list as well. We're going to get some interesting stuff soon. Maybe when Dan makes his second round pick right now.
I think it's a major upset that we made 5 picks before somebody said the name Jeff Teat. Like that's pretty wild of a draft we're having here. I think I am going to grab a quality defender transition player at this point. I'm going to take Ryan Terefenko with my next pick. I like somebody who is offensive minded, who has the wheels to get up and down, is I think the fastest player drafted so far. I think you've seen him in the indoor season this year emerge as a serious, much more of a goal scorer and much more of a threat in transition. And, he's obviously incredible off the ground and everything, and he can cover as well as anybody. So he's a good, if I can't have Zach Courier, I'm going to take Ryan Terefenko.
And I'm going to follow Dan up, and I'm actually going to take my first offensive player and go with Tom Schreiber. I need some goals, as Dan was alluding to, and I love Tom, and he's just so capable. Captain America is joining my team.
Okay. In the words of the great Job Bluth, I think I've made a huge mistake. I'm happy to have Brett Dobson, but I really was hoping I'd get one of those goal scorers. And now I'm looking at my list and being like, oh my gosh, who's my guy? But you know what? I think a lot of this is going to be one. There's a handful of guys that are still great scorers. I think this is going to be one in large part in the middle of the field, up and down, a grinder, a guy with all kinds of size and skill and speed and talent. I am going to take Owen Grant.
I was between OG and Terefenko with my pick there.
Yeah, I kind of had those two.
I like the Owen Grant pick. Yeah.
So I am back on the clock, and so I'm not going to take another grinder. You know what? I am going to go with. I think Clark Peterson is a weapon in 6's, and I'm going to take Clark Peterson.
Right. That's a lot of love for Clark Peterson. There's a lot of weapons out there other than Clark Peterson.
That's true.
You're making the move to Peterson.
Yeah.
I was wondering when he would go, because in the outdoor game you don't see as much of him. In the indoor game, obviously you see that he's great. So we haven't seen a ton of him playing 6's, I don't think. So
well, he played for Canada in Birmingham, right?
Yeah, he played in Birmingham with the greatest 6's team ever assembled.
Yeah. And I thought he was central to what they did.
Yeah.
So if I can't have Courier and I can't have Byrne, I'm getting Peterson. So Adam.
I'm going to go with a guy who is, again, one of those guys who can play defense. He's feisty, and he's definitely picked up the scoring, particularly in the NLL. I'm going to go with Ian McKay. I love a heart and soul guy like Ian. You love what he brings to the table every single game, both in the PLL and the NLL. So he's my pick.
Yeah, I was waffling between Grant and McKay. For mine, I went with Grant. I'm thrilled with it, but yeah, no, McKay's a great pick. He has just been unbelievable this year. Dan.
I'm going to go back to the offensive side of things. I think the third round of any draft this player is in is the latest he will ever go. Give me Lyle Thompson. I'm going to take, again, like Josh, it's like, I know you guys are taking defenders, but there aren't too many people in a 6's format who are able to guard somebody like Lyle Thompson in the amount of space that you're afforded in a 6's format. He can get a shot off any way in the world. He's one of the best offensive players the game has ever seen. Feels like a no-brainer to grab Lyle Thompson this late.
Yeah, I should have taken Lyle. Peterson, but that's a good pick. I kind of put this whole thing together. I thought it was Adam's idea, and I kind of ran with it and put it all together. And I am just kind of okay. I've got Brett Dobson, Owen Grant, and Clark Peterson. I'm pretty happy, but I also feel like I'm kind of I don't know, messing up. Chris, you're up with a couple of picks.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so much talent that I feel like everybody you're like, oh, wish I'd had that guy.
Which is a good sign, right?
That being said, I'm gonna go for another offensively creative large gentleman. Go ahead and put Brennan O'Neill on my team, please.
Damn it. Damn, that was going to be my next pick.
I think everybody was trying to wait out Brennan O'Neill for a while as like the, more of like the all-star guys who have been in the NLL longer got picked, and then Brennan kind of sneaks in there late, but good for Rosie to grab him now.
Yeah. I'm just going to interject with a quick question here for you, Dan. Obviously, with the development of Brennan in the NLL and how he's shown he can adapt there, I mean, how beneficial is that going to be for the PLL and 6's going forward?
I think Brennan's game, you've seen, I think he's scored the goal of the year in the NLL this year. I'm waiting to see somebody dethrone that diving goal. I think the more he learns indoors, you can see his growth like every week. But like he's obviously great when there's space for him to isolate one-on-one. Whatever format you put him in, he's going to be dominant doing that. But the way he plays through two-mans and the way he has started to, you see it every week, like the way he moves when he is a picker or when he is kind of slipping off of a pick indoors, he gets smarter and smarter with it every week. And I think like that Denver Outlaws team is going to be a bear because it's like he's going to have the ball and be dominant. And then when he doesn't have the ball, he's going to be even more of a weapon than he used to be.
We are moving on. Chris, you just took one person, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're starting round 4.
Yep, starting off round 4. I've gone heavy offense early. Let me go ahead and grab Latrell Harris this round here.
Yeah.
Not that I'm concerned about my defensive abilities thus far. I do kind of want somebody who's more of an active role on that side of the ball.
Love it.
I'm going to make a pick because I'm concerned he might not be there if I wait. So I'm going to take somebody who could play field for me, but he's going to play in goal for me. Give me Blaze Reardon with my next pick. I got my goalie. Already a Team USA goalie. Already one of the best ever to do it. So give me Blaze for this format.
I really thought the goalies were going to go earlier. because there aren't many, right? And you got like a few that are clearly the world's guys. So I was a little surprised, but yeah, when you see the next goalie go and Adam is up, will he follow the trend?
No, I'm gonna hold off nervously, and I'm gonna pick Zed Williams with my next pick. Oh, is he off?
He is off. He's on the injured reserve. Sorry, we should have gone over that. This is active roster players. Zed Williams was just added to the injured reserve list for Colorado. So sorry, Zed is out, as is Michael Stowers.
So then what I will do is I'm going to go with Wes Berg. I love Wes. I'm going to stick away from the offense for a couple more picks, I think, going now, like exclusive offensive guys. But Wes Berg is going to be my pick for this round.
All right, that puts. Is that me?
That's you. You got
Okay.
2 picks here.
I am going to go offense, big time, and I'm going to select the man who will be the leading goal scorer in this tournament. He is an athletic freak. He is maybe the only guy who's harder to cover one-on-one than Lyle Thompson. I am taking Curtis Dixon. He's going to fill it up. I'm telling you, he's going to score 1 million goals in this tournament.
Yeah, I had Dixon as one of my next offensive guys on my list to take.
Yeah. And then I am going to take, and I'm actually pretty stoked that he's still available for me here. I'm going to take Challen Rogers, who will do everything on the field for me. And I'm actually feeling quite a bit better about my team now.
Adding Challen Rogers will do that for sure.
I had a note next to Challen Rogers here that also literally just. So I'm on board with that pick.
Sorry, literally what?
We'll do everything.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, good luck, guys, going up against Owen Grant and Challen Rogers, who are going to strip you. And I will make a note while we wait for Adam to get ready for his next pick that I thought the key in Birmingham at the World Games 6's was that the Canadian team figured out how to play 6's defense. And I thought that was huge, both the men and the women. I think Brooklyn Walker-Welch was probably the best or most important player in the women's tournament. And I thought some of the guys like Courier and some of the guys playing D in the men's were crucial.
You know, Stamper, I am going to go with. Give me Rylan Reese.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
He is a Nighthawk.
Yes.
Half of the lacrosse power couple.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One of many lacrosse power couples, but he's half one.
So does that mean I get Kylie O'Miller as well as a substitute?
Assistant coach.
Yeah. All right, look, I got my goalie. I'm just gonna keep taking weapons. Give me Connor Fields. And I'm just gonna try and win games 30-20.
You mean 30-28?
Yeah, 30-28. Taravenko's got his work cut out for him, and Blaze, you're gonna see a lot of rubber, but I'm gonna score a ton of goals, baby.
Right. Ryan, you're going to play defense against everyone. You're going to be 1-on-5D, and you then have to get the ball and go up and score 6 goals. So that gets us to Dan.
I just picked.
You
I
just
just picked Connor Fields.
That's an excellent point. That gets us to Rosie.
Yes, sir. I am on the board here, and I am going to grab kind of a defensive anchor, and that is going to be from the Halifax. Hasek. Feel like I need kind of one to get in there and push everyone around a little bit. Don't need a ton of defense.
You know the interesting thing, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't think you need it. I do want a couple guys to kind of anchor all the shots down there.
I'll admit, when I first watched that first international 6's competition and Graham Hossack was playing for Canada and he just kept getting penalties, my first thought was, if Graham Hossack can't play 6's, I don't want to watch it. But I've come around, I've warmed up, and I do like the format, but I think my concern with Hossack is, how's the reffing going to go? Are they just going to keep giving him penalties when he's just big and strong?
I was hoping to get Hossack on the way back here. I should have known that Rosie was going to draft one of his birds, though. That's a bad job. That's a bad job by me.
Rosie, you got another one coming too.
Yes, sir. And with this one, I am going to go. You know what? I was kind of looking at this guy, not sure how much longer he'll be on the board. I really want to see Jack Hanna on my team. Creative. He's not afraid to shoot. I need some opportunity at every corner. So, yeah, go ahead and toss Jack Hanna on my team.
The highlight reel machine.
Yeah,
Jack is probably going to challenge Brendan O'Neill's goal of the year, right?
If anyone's going to do it, he will.
Yeah.
So it's me now.
No, it's me.
No, let Dan go ahead and
sorry,
have this
Dan.
pick.
No, don't say. I need to take a defender before this gets any worse.
Oh, no.
I am going to take Danny Logan as my defender here. I love Danny in the outdoor game. I think he's excellent indoors. I think physically and as a cover, like one-on-one cover guy, he's as good as anybody in the world, particularly in space and where there's going to be more room than you would see in the NLL, but out on the 6's field. I think you watch him play outdoors and he can cover attackman by himself. So I'm going to go with Danny Logan to build the defense a little bit with an American defensive group here of Terefenko and Danny Logan.
There you go, Adam. You can pick
Oh,
now.
amazing. Good. So I am going to go with another guy who is very versatile, but can play some great defense, very physical. I'm
I
going
gotta
to
jump in quick, Adam, on you. Sorry. Who was your last pick? Because we were making cards in the background. Charity made them all. I just got to drop them where they go. Did you have Curtis Dixon?
No, I did.
Okay. So who was yours, Adam?
Adam took Ryland Reese.
Ryland Reese.
He should have 5 already, though. Not.
He's got 5.
4. Who else?
He's
who else
got
have you Adam?
Courier, Schreiber, McKay, Westberg, and Ryland Reese.
Yeah.
Berg and Reese. Yeah.
Westberg, and I had to add Reese.
And now,
Okay, Adam.
yep. And now I am adding Reed Bowring to my team.
Okay. Reed Bowering off the board. And we're coming to me. Okay. There's still so much talent. This is crazy.
I know. I've got names I'm looking
at.
at on this. Like, am I the only one who wrote this name down, or are we all just waiting this out?
I am going to continue to build from the back end with guys who are also great finishers, and I will take Connor Kirst.
Kirst was a guy on my list too.
Yeah. And then, how am I doing? I got to keep track of my righties and lefties here. I don't want to get all unbalanced, which I am starting to do. So I'm going to go back to my lefty list, and I will take Dyson Williams. Which has been met with a round of silence.
No, it's like I like Dyson too. It's it's with the rookies in the NLL. It's like if you're making your list for this and you just start with like sort by points, you're not going to see those guys for a while. But that's also makes it a bad way to do this because Dyson Williams is of course, going to be a player at the Olympics and in 6's and everything. He's a superstar. So it's like he's down the list, but he shouldn't be. You know what I mean? So it's like you see his name and you're like, oh man, did I screw up by not having him taken already?
And I'm wondering, did I screw up? But I think he's going to fill it up. I think he'll load it up. I mean, especially because everyone's going to be trying to cover Curtis Dixon after he gets 5 or 6 in the first game, right? So, so I've started round 7 with Dyson Williams, and we are back to Adam Levy.
I feel like I'm missing one of Adam's. Sorry. So who was it?
I want Danny Logan's on my team.
Okay, so get rid of Danny Logan. I should have it all caught up after. Oh, no, I'll do that. Get rid of the
Danny
background.
Logan goes to me. Adam's other players are Ryland Reese and Reed Bowering.
Ryland Reese and Reed Bowering. That was it. I put Bowering on the wrong team.
Reese in Rochester and Bowering with Vancouver.
All right, so we had Ryland Reese.
We'll just be on pause for a moment while we get that over. Okay, once Reese is there, you can be getting Bowering while Adam prepares for his pick.
Yeah, you know what? Give me a guy who can get the ball to a lot of my scorers, and I'm going to go with Jesse King here.
He can shoot a little too, eh?
Yeah.
He can shoot a little too.
All right, so now we're on to Dan, and you had Reed Bowering.
My last pick is Danny Logan.
So let me get him put in there, and then we'll be good to go. And you can start picking your next guy.
You should have 6. So who's missing from yours?
Danny Logan there's a blank card at the bottom, but his name.
Yeah,
should be on
but
it.
then you should have somebody else too, right?
That's who I'm picking now.
No, but there's only there's 6 there. Oh my God, there's 6 there.
There's 6 there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm struggling enough, Stamper. I don't need any help.
Sorry.
Going back to the offense, give me Randy Stotts. This feels maybe I'm crazy, but that feels late for Randy Stotts.
You know what? I didn't even have him on the list somehow, and that is ridiculous. Oh my goodness.
We are the seventh player I'm taking is Randy Stotts, which I mean, like, oof, boy, oh boy, either we all missed something, or I was like, is he hurt? Did I get this wrong? But yeah,
no.
Randy's an obvious choice for this. Again, a guy who's played field, guy who's played sixes, guy who's been awesome at it. I think he's an obvious choice. So my offense is shaping up nicely here.
What a great season he's having too.
Yeah. He's having a wonderful season with Halifax.
Yeah, and I had him sitting up there, and after I didn't hear his name after like the third, I was like, oh, maybe I can wait a little bit.
Waited too long.
Yeah, I thought maybe like it was a legs issue. You guys were passing him up on the scout or something like that. Well, shit. That being said, I am kind of you know who I really want to add on my team? Let me get Connor Kelly and put him in my lineup. Obviously got the experience. I think he can dodge and shoot. We've seen him doing it for years, so I think he will contribute nicely on my offensive side.
Scoring a gazillion goals this year too.
Yeah.
We're making his, and I'll reset your timer for the next one.
Okay.
It's my go, right, guys?
Nope. Not even close.
It's Rosie's second pick.
But you can just keep asking that, and at some point it will be. Or maybe we'll screw up and be like, yeah, go ahead, Adam, have a pick.
I'll take whatever I can get.
All right, so I'm good to go now.
You are.
Okay. I'm gonna stop waiting on this, and I'm gonna in goal for me.
Sorry, who?
Dylan Ward.
Okay, there you go.
There's our third goalie.
So here's an interesting one with basically four. Well, I know it's going to be down with four guys who have international sixes and field experience. Does somebody be spiteful and take kind of the fourth veteran guy and not let Adam have a goalie? Do we just shut Adam out and make all our games 35-25? We'll see. Dan, you're up.
I feel like I want to go a little more defense now. I want to get a little meaner. Give me I'm going to take Mike Messenger here. Give me Mess for a little bit of a mean streak on this team.
Saskatchewan Rush.
I want to add a couple more defenders. I want to add some more guys who are maybe takeaway kind of guys, or guys who can do decent with the cause turnover numbers, guys who can run transition. I think, Mess is good at that kind of stuff. And then, again, like you're going to want somebody who can mix it up, who can play a physical game. And I feel like I'm getting good at that end of the field now.
Yeah. Messenger. I mean, the putting the shoulder down into guys, right? When he's running in transition, he's so powerful. Did you see last weekend? Who was it? Somebody came off the bench. Messenger's running in transition. Somebody came and knocked him down.
I don't think I saw it, but I believe it as you describe it.
It was unbelievable. I was like, holy cow, how did you win that? I got to find that at some point, because that guy deserves props. They were playing Calgary. It was Bennett Smith.
And he knocked him down?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, unbelievable. Adam, guess whose turn it is?
I'm gonna guess that it is my turn, and give me Jake Boudreau. Gonna keep building those transition players. He's really come alive this year in the National Lacrosse League. He's just a budding talent. I love what he brings. Again, also some gritty play as well. I'm building a tough team of tough guys who maybe won't be scoring as much as I'd like, but at least they'll be giving it 100%.
Yeah, Boudreau is probably going to be my next guy, because I'm still a little low on lefties. I am going to take. I like this. Yeah, I'm going to diverge my list a bit and take. I'm going to have a great two-way team. This is a guy who can absolutely fill it up. He's played for Canada, a little underrated, I think. I'm going to take Brian Cole.
Mm-hmm.
I had Brian Cole on my list too.
Yeah, he's really something. He's been with Canada for the last 2 indoor world championships. I mean, he's a great outdoor player. And I mean, with Georgia, he's just, is he a forward? Is he a defender? Is he transition? You never know. He can do it all. That's what we want, right?
He's the owner of one of the more ridiculous statistical seasons from back in the MLL days, because he had a year where I think from the midfield he shot 50% on the season. It was something like that. Shot like 40, 50%, some absurd number from the midfield, and then they had a ton of points. And it was like, he had an unreal season with I think it was with the Atlanta Blaze.
Yeah, there's
I'm up again.
year.
Oh, go ahead.
First year they had the split, the NLL and PLL split. We wrote an article that was basically saying, Brian Cole is the best midfielder in the world right now, and people did not take kindly to that. They disagreed, but they were wrong.
They were wrong.
I am going to take, for my other pick, as we start round 9, we're getting close here. I am going to take Trey Leclerc.
Trey Leclerc is a great pick.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, I mean, so talented. Again, a guy who's played offense in the NLL, who's played defense, who can do it all. Great at Ohio State, and I will not say the Ohio State because I don't even get it. But yeah, no, there's a bunch. And the thing is, we're getting into our 9th round, and there's so much talent left on the board. Like
I know.
I've probably got about 40 guys left that I'd be like, I'd
Yeah.
be pretty happy with him on my team.
Trey was a righty shooting attackman at Ohio State, and outdoors in the pro league, he has become a 2-way midfielder.
Yeah.
Like, kind of tells you what kind of player he is.
So many guys like that. Rogers and Messenger were both D-tranny guys in junior, attack in field, and again, D-tranny in the pro game, although Rogers has bounced everywhere. And I mean, Messenger's also played some forward and played defense, so you can't argue with any of those guys. And whose turn is it now? Adam, do you have any idea?
For me, let's take, who do we got here? I am going to go with, you know what? How much time do I have left? 30 seconds. Give me Tehoka Nanticoke.
All right.
I was wondering when Tehoka would go in this.
Just for all the listeners, it is Tehoka. No matter what they say, as Rosie was saying, people were saying they were wrong that Cole was or that Cole wasn't the best midfielder, but they were wrong. Well, you guys are wrong with the Tehoka thing. It's Tehoka. Sorry, I'm a stickler for pronunciation.
I'm going to go back to the offense. Going to grab another weapon here. I'm going to take Joe Rezateritz. Give me Joe Rez. Keep my my righty side coming together here, and again, like a good pass first player, just an outright great scorer. I think he's second in the NLL in points right now. But I'm looking for guys on the offensive end where you look at them and you say, as a one-on-one, I don't know if we can get it done. We are going to need help defense for that guy. And if I put an entire offense of those guys on the field, then I'm feeling pretty good about where I am. And I feel like that's what's starting to come together for me here.
I'm starting to feel glad that I've got Grant, Rogers, Kirst, Cole, so we can try to cover you.
On that note, since I'm up here, speaking on cover guys, I have been leaning more heavily off and try to grab somebody else who can kind of push the defensive side. So, give me another Hasek. I will take Matt Hasek with my pick here. I really just need some guys to try to gum up the works for a while. So, yes, toss Matt on my team here.
Possibly Defender of the Year right now in the National Lacrosse League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that from you.
No problem.
And then I'm going to follow that up to start off the next round. Give me Zach Manns. 20 balanced offense scoring for me. I just would rather have him on my team than going against me.
I think Zach Mans is a good pick. I think there's something to be said for it. You've kind of seen it with like the 6's tournament, but if you're playing 6's, like Olympic 6's, I think the most important stat, or one of the top 2 or 3 most important stats you use to evaluate somebody being good at it, is how good of a shooter are they and how often do they hit the net. There's no shot backup in 6's, and that's important to think about. Any shot that misses the net is the same thing as a pass out of bounds. And I think that's why guys like Mans who shoot the hell out of the ball and do it very accurately, their stock goes up when you're picking guys for 6's.
Great point. And just to interject, if the ball goes out of bounds, misses the net, goes out of bounds, it's a turnover, as it should be.
All right, I'm grabbing one more defender here. I am going to take Eli Gobrecht, my next pick.
That's a great pick.
I'm going to take Eli Gobrecht, and that gives me, I'm up to 4 defenders now.
He's looked so good after recovering from the wrist injury. He's been great.
Yeah, healthy Eli Gobrecht has been great. Another guy who's like is excellent in the field game too. Can run the field in the field game and can run it in the indoor game, obviously. So guys who can do that damage, I started it with Tarafenko, but that's kind of been my brand of defensive player that I'm trying to take.
Eli can take your 4 faceoffs a game as well.
Yeah, if he's not winning, and look, if he doesn't win the first 2, Messenger's got the next 2.
All right.
I'm just not going to send anybody to the face-off dot. No, I've got Connor cursed. I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Who's up? Chris?
Yes, sir. I am back up on the board here. I'll tell you, I have not been properly going left.
I think it's Adam. It's Adam.
Which way are we going here?
It's Adam, right?
Yeah.
Rosie went Hasek and Mans, then I went Gobrecht, and now Adam's going with his follow-up to Nantico.
So I'm gonna follow up kind of in the same line of thinking of Mans and go with a guy in Ty Kurtz. He hits the target so often. He's just continuing to improve. Again, a gritty player, unselfish, but can score. Really, really big fan of his.
That puts me up, and I'm curious because Rosie's got the Hasek brothers. I wonder if Adam is going to have a brother team as well. We will see. But I am going to. Boy, it's getting down. Like I've honestly got like a dozen guys I really want to add, and I can't get them all. So I feel like I need one more just scorer, just a guy who just shoots and creates. And I'm trying to decide. Well, I am going to add. I've got one in reserve, but this is so hard. I'm going to take Adam Potroy. I'm going to be very young, but another contender for Rookie of the Year. I just love his two-way game. What a terrific! I mean, he can score, especially with more space out in the field with the big nets. He's going to score a bunch. He's a great setup guy and a good gritty two-way defender. His forecheck is fantastic. And then I am going to take, as we start round 11, probably my first Kufla guy, a former MLL player, somebody who I think has been overlooked as one of the best defensive players and transition players in the world in the NLL, was on Canada, helped them win a gold medal this year at the World Box Championships. I'm going to take Nick Tchaikovsky.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time for me to pick a goalie, guys. I think.
I was good at this point. Like, if you don't think Rosie and I are going to do it, you could wait till the very last pick because we all got goalies.
I'm gonna go with a guy who I think in the NLL doesn't get enough love. He's played goalie. He played goalie in Birmingham. He's been a goalie at Syracuse. I'm gonna go with Warren Hill.
Right.
He's a really good passer in 6's too, right?
And
Yeah.
your last pick, sorry, Adam, was who? You had Tehoka, and then you picked somebody else that I missed.
Pick Ty
Forward.
Kurtz.
Ty
Yeah.
Kurtz, that's what it was.
Kurt.
All right, so I'll have him in
You're
there.
an Albany guy. Greg, you should have remembered that.
I should have.
Oh,
That should have been an easy one for me, but.
What was that last?
And
Ty
then-
Kurtz is a Delaware guy.
Yep.
Oh, Albany, like the pro team Albany.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Albany
that's
Firewolves.
my
I'm like,
home.
he didn't go to Albany, he went to Delaware.
No,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
actually, since we're doing the NLL 6's All-Star Fantasy extravaganza,
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a firewolf and a blue hen.
there you go.
How
How good is the Blue Hens history with Kurtz and John Grant and Curtis Dixon? And, man,
Yeah,
I would
Mike
take the
Robinson.
Blue Hens in this tournament. I think.
The alumni challenge.
Yeah. All right, I've got a bunch of offensive players who need the ball. I'm going to take a guy who doesn't. Give me Ryan Lee to
All right.
play as a shooter, or a scorer off the ball, or somebody there to catch feeds from all these other weapons and just bury the ball in the back of the net, who shoots incredibly well and just fills it up. Give me Ryan Lee.
All right, so Ryan Lee. Then did you pick Hasek last pick, or was it Mans?
I had after Reza Terrence, I had Eli Gobrecht,
Okay.
and then I have Ryan Lee now.
Now Lee. Perfect. So I don't think I have his either, so we'll get caught up with that one. We had like 50 guys that I thought, and now you guys are really getting into the details where the guys I didn't necessarily pick, so that's why we're
We're
trying
round
to,
11, baby. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
we're making it up to the to get to the back. So we got Lee up next. All right, and on the last one to make sure that I had Chris right. So Chris, you had Hasek and Mans.
Correct.
Okay. And now we're good for you for 11 and to start the last round.
Okay. Let's see here. This pick, I am going to kick off with let me get Alex Simmons. Gonna put him as one of my righties, and another guy. I love his creativity, produce shots. I think a lot of that is just going to come down to. I think my team is going to be heavy leaning into that strategy too. You cross midfield and see if you can make something happen. So I want him in that position for me.
Love that pick for the 11th round.
Beautiful.
I really want Chris's team. Can I trade for Chris's team?
All right, and Chris, you're up for round 12 start.
All right. And I am, you know what? I'm going to actually just give him a teammate on the other side of the ball, put Ethan Walker on my team on the other side there. Ethan Walker, favorite shots in lacrosse. I just love watching him shoot. And, veteran of both formats, indoors and out. 4 outdoor year, but I've still, we've seen him performing this year and got nothing but confidence in him in the 6's format.
Boom.
Adam's got a good point. That's a good team. I told Rosie, I told you that I wasn't thrilled to get picked first. I think the 4-5 slot was the place to be, and you start with Smith and Teat, and then run. That's a great team. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Thanks, fellas.
Told you guys we shouldn't have let him play.
I know. All right, my last pick here. I'm going to take an offensive player. I think I have 4 righties, so I'm debating: do I want to add another righty, or do I need to throw a lefty in here, or does it even really matter for 6's? You can just run all over the place anyway. I think I'm going to take another righty. I'm going to take my esteemed co-host from the College Lacrosse Show and take John Donville with my last pick.
I was going to go. If we were trying to read the scout, I was like, do I want to take him early and try to jump ahead of Dan might take him? No, he's
So
I mean, I'm not just taking him because I host a podcast with him. I'm taking him because he's an awesome lacrosse player. Like, he is, he's one of the best young players in the world. And I think in the 6's format is a place where he could shine as a guy who's been an off-ball weapon and can have the ball in his stick. So give me Donville there with my last pick.
And in a hypothetical world, will you have to answer to him in the future like you did to Jack Hanna?
Oh my God. I know. They didn't even tell me that was coming. I just got ethered. It was the worst. But hey, look, if I get it wrong, I want you to tell me I got it wrong. So for those, if you don't know, Jack Hanna came on the podcast with Donville and I last week. And they started by ambushing me and telling me that I had both of them entirely too low on my PLL big board the year that they got drafted, and that I underrated both of them, and I was very mean in that regard. And I told them, look, to be fair, I was way lower on Hannah than I was on Donville. Let's just get that out of the gate to start. But I like being loud wrong. So look, if I get it wrong, I love talking to those guys and them telling me, you had me wrong. And as always, I tell them, thank you for reading. It's very nice of you. So yeah, those two ambushed me on the podcast this week, and I'm still licking my wounds.
I appreciate that, because I was in the dark on that one. I'm like, what is Adam talking about?
Yeah.
Jack Hannah's an interesting one, because I remember when I was doing my NLL, I do my prospects every year, and I do my mock draft, and I was so waffling on Albany had the 16 pick that year, and I was thinking probably Patrick Kaschak, but I thought I wound up putting in Jack Hannah, and I had no inside information from the team, but apparently in their team meetings they said, how does Stamper know who we were thinking about taking? Because he was the other guy they were thinking of was Hannah, but they did take Kaschak, and I mean, either way, it's worked out pretty well, right? So we were coming down the stretch. We have 2 more picks, right?
Yep.
So that whose turn is it? Adam, any idea?
Yeah, and if I had 2 more picks, I would have just been cute and first done Adam Charlambides and then Levi Anderson, but I don't have 2 picks, but I am going to actually go with Adam Charlambides here.
I like it. So you're not going Reed Kurtz. I thought you might double up on Kurtz's.
Yeah.
Charity appreciates that, because it was hard to fit Charlene Beatties in that thumbnail. So we're very glad you guys picked him. That was worth the effort.
Charity Beecher in the background, probably doing more work than any of us.
That's true.
Making all the name tags, all the name boards, and yeah, fitting Charlene Beatties in with the entire name. That is very impressive. And the guy who has one of the longest names and had maybe the longest NCAA career in the sport, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that leaves it to me for the final pick, and I am so torn. I had a guy that I was going to make as a dark horse pick, and I might anyway, but I've had a lot of young players, so I'm going to go with a bit more of a veteran, a guy who I don't actually know if he's played much field lacrosse. I know he played hockey in college, but what, Dan, your pick of Joe Rezateris, and you said, hey, the second leading scorer in the NLL. I feel like with the NLL's leading scorer sitting on the board, I have to take Mitch Jones. And he is honestly a beast. I remember seeing him last summer at the tryouts for Canada's team for the World Box Championships. And he was because Burns going to be there as lefty. Teat's going to be there. There's a bunch of guys. Tanner Cook was a very strong candidate, obviously, and Shane Jackson who went up. I thought Jones went out and was with Byrne and Teat as the big ball carriers. Jones was playing like a pick game and a grinder game, and I mean, he's so talented, right? But he will do anything, and I think he does just about everything. So I'm going to go with Mitch Jones, balance out my lefts and rights a bit, and finish things up. And those are some good teams.
Those are some good. If I didn't take Donville there, I was taking Mitch Jones. Those were the two names I was between for a righty and a lefty.
So I think it would be fun. We've got a few minutes left to wrap up this section. I think it'd be fun for everyone to say who is left on your list that is the other guy that you were thinking of taking, or a couple of guys that you, if we had a couple more rounds, would take, or you might call in for an injury replacement. We'll start with, why don't we go with Chris first from start with the back of the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a couple of guys here who, I should have figured out a way to put them on my team, just because I really wanted them on my team. First of all, Cole Kirst. I just think the format's good for him, and my team needs some glue. Just wanted him in the locker room, and Cody Jameson. I really just wanted him on my team, and I should have put him. I feel bad that I did not do it. So apologies.
He's your captain, right?
I needed some leadership there, and Cody would have been. I dropped the ball in that regard. Apologies to Cody.
And I will say, with Rosie on here, I am wearing my Moon Bears shirt. Rosie and I are fellow Moon Bears. We were on the roster for the Moon Bears at the Masters discipline of the lax night last year. I wasn't able to play. I was in concussion protocol because I was in an accident on the way home from Worlds. But so I did run a door for one of our games with my noise canceling headphones and sunglasses on, and the guys were all like, "What are you doing?" But that's why I was wearing it. But Rosie got to play and did a great job, and good job, Rosie.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Dan. What are a couple of guys that you
I've got a bunch on here. Some of them were like, I don't know if I could trust this guy to do it. Like I have Dane Doby on the list, but I was just having visions of Dane running back from offense to defense and being stuck out there in 6's defense and maybe not totally trusting it. So there were guys like that.
Give up a goal.
Yeah.
20 years old. I mean,
I know. So, like there's guys like that where it's like, man, is he a weapon? But I don't know if I can take him in this. I had Ryan Smith on my list. I had Thomas McConvey on my list. I had Eli McLaughlin on my list. And then I had Dawson Theed on there too. I liked the idea of a big physical offensive weapon to balance some of the guys who I have who don't play the same way, right? Like Lyle and Connor Fields, like those guys aren't going to put their shoulder into you and bulldoze you. They're going to play a leverage game, but they're not going to just knock you to the ground. So I had Dawson Theed on the list too as a possibility, and then Ryan Lanchbury I had on the list as a possibility too, just because he feels his scoring is off the charts this year.
You could have taken Theed and Doby and watched them both run back and play D.
Again, I'm winning 30-28, baby. That's my team.
Right? There you go. All right, Adam.
Yeah, I had Ryan Lanchbury on my list. I also had Holden Garland on my list as well, and Will Malcolm as well. I great scorer, really fast.
Yeah, I had all those guys up near the top of my list as well. I also had Matt Gilray, one of the best transition players in the NLL. Another young guy, Will Johansson, Jake Stevens, guys like that. But a couple of my kind of deep dive picks, I was thinking Taylor Jensen in Rochester.
I was literally just thinking that.
Yeah, he's been awesome. He is so good. And I was going to go if Mitch Jones hadn't been there at the end, I was going to go Torrin Eccleston because he has been electric in the half dozen games he has played in the NLL.
We did have a card for him, Stamper, so that would have been a perfect pick for us. I was expecting somebody to take him, actually. I've been very impressed watching him.
Sorry, Greg and Charity.
I thought somebody might take New Philadelphia wing Mitch DeSnew. I was wondering if people would take Mitch DeSnew.
Yeah, he's on my list too.
It's going to be interesting to see how he does in Philly for sure. But also give it a couple years, and Levi Anderson is really developing into a great player.
Yeah. Another deep dive guy that I was thinking about going with, another Kufla All-Canadian guy, multiple-time All-Canadian, is Colton Armstrong from Halifax. He would be fantastic in this format. Great runner, sturdy defender, great finisher.
Yeah, and nobody took Thomas Hogarth. Nobody took Thomas Hogarth, who I think would have made sense for this too. Rosie, I was looking at all the Halifax guys, and I was like, Rosie's going to take all the birds, so I'm just not going to put him on my list.
I was in a tricky spot where I kind of wanted to take all of them, but then I thought, well, who am I going to inherently overvaluing in the format under birds? And that probably ended up with me taking fewer than I wanted to take. So, from a GM standpoint, I'm okay with my team, but from a sentimental GM standpoint, I'm very much myself.
So next steps, I think, is we got to figure something out where we let people vote on which of these teams is going to win and which of the three of you is going to come second.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
We'll do that. We'll get it up. I mean, we're gonna share this on Inside Lacrosse. I should mention. I mean, we're all kind of inside. I'm the editor for IL Indoor. Adam writes for us. Chris Rosenthall writes for Inside Lacrosse regularly, and Dan Arestia is just a man of everything in the lacrosse world. But you are an IL guy as well,
an occasional IL contributor. Yes.
Yeah.
We will
so, and what are you wearing?
Still on this, that way everybody.
With my fantasy GM powers, I'm bringing back the Connecticut Hammerheads. So congratulations to Josh, to Ryan, to Lyle, everybody, on being the newest iteration of the Connecticut Hammerheads.
Nice. You can call your team that. That's cool.
I have to get the outdoor folks to sell me the rights to call my team this, but once they do, we will be the Hammerheads.
Pretty sure you could just rent them.
We're gonna need team names for all of you guys, though. Actually, so that way when we
We'll
make
come
the
up with team
graphics
names.
to post, we're gonna need some sweet team names.
Okay.
I might just go Moon Bears.
It doesn't seem. I mean, that's kind of lazy, Stamper. I mean, you talked about it already. We need something creative.
Lazy? The Moon Bears? A Moon Bear is nothing if not lazy.
Yeah, I like it.
I
That's
think
a
that
good
sentence just went off the rails.
No, I love it. Thank you guys so much. I learned a lot with this. Some of the guys, I mean, really, most of the guys we had, once we got into the defense, I had the entire Albany Firewolves defense because when they're playing great, they're the only ones that deserve to be up there. But no, I was not. I have to say, I was very surprised at how different all of you guys looked at the picks, though. Like Stamper starting with the goalie. I honestly think Dane Smith would have been my first pick, so I was very surprised he dropped down to the to the bottom for Chris to pick him in the first. But yeah, other than that, most of what you guys picked kind of made sense to me. But the that first one, I'm a big goalie guy, you know that, Stamper. And Matt Vince not being on, I get he doesn't play field, but he's just that good. Give it to him. Give him a stick. He'll go out there and do it.
You know, he's a long pole in field across there,
That's
right?
fine, so he can play goalie. Just give him the long pole. I bet you he doesn't even need a goalie stick. He's that good.
I'll tell you what, we'll let you pick a team of anybody else that you like, and I feel pretty good going up against you when you've got Matt Vince in net. Matt Vince is a great goalie, but he doesn't play field goalie, so let him put on the NLL gear and give him an NLL net, and then we're talking.
Yeah, things are much
Okay.
better. Are we doing the picks and stuff with Adam afterwards?
Yeah, we're going to do that after. We're going to wrap up this segment. We'll come back and quickly do our picks for the week. But I just want to say thanks so much to Chris Rosenthall and Dan Arestia for joining us. It was an absolute blast. We pulled this together fairly quickly once Adam brought the idea to us, and it's been so much fun.
Thanks so
guys,
much for having me, man. This was awesome. I'm thrilled you guys asked me to do it. I love this kind of stuff. So happy to be here and to pick the winning team. And it's a special honor. So
You're picking my team?
And I feel like we should call this the inaugural 6's draft. So this is not the a one-off thing. This has been awesome, Dan. Really appreciate you guys.
Sure,
It's great to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks for thinking of me. Always nice to be to join in on something like this. In all forms, and it's cool to do in the 6's. I'm a big fan of the format as well. So yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. Congratulations to my entire team. I will be notifying all of them.
They've already won.
I think they have. They're all winning. So
And I will throw this out, and I'm not actually even kidding, is that in the future, I think it would be a fantastic idea if the National Lacrosse League actually did this. Bring it back as the All-Star game, All-Star activity, All-Star weekend, and make this happen. Have real, or have us pick them. I think we could pick them. or have some.
I think what we just picked would be a hell of an all-star weekend. I'm just saying.
Wouldn't that be
I think
fantastic? How much
we
fun would
picked
that
the
be?
guys who would be all-stars. So
Yeah, we get together, have the All-Star weekend, and actually do this. Take a weekend off and play like 3 days. You play a round robin between the 4 teams, and then you have a championship game where the Moon Bears will defeat who, I don't know, the Hammerheads, say, or any of the Rosies or the Levies. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I think it would be a real blast. So NLL, let's do this for real. But for the time being, this is the inside the world of box lacrosse, NLL All-Star Fantasy Extravaganza 6's Fest. I'll work on the name. And that's it. Thanks so much, Dan and Chris, again, for being with us. And thanks, Lacrosse friends. We're going to take a quick break for about a minute. We'll come back. Adam and I will do our picks in the, as we like to call it, humiliate the host section. And we're going to break. Unbelievable.
Speaking of, did anyone take Brendan Bomberry, or did we not have
No.
him?
No.
I'm on my
took
computer, and I really wanted to take another one of those guys. I really wanted him, but didn't happen. I think he'd be good in
You
this.
just run out of picks. And we can't
Yeah.
make the rosters bigger because we got to follow the rules.
We're only taking 48 guys between
Yeah.
us, so
Yeah.
it's like you run out of guys in a hurry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we should. Yeah. We're gonna come back. You guys are welcome to hang around for the picks if you like, or you can go off and live your lives.
I have to go to work.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thanks so much, guys. It was great.
All right, bye guys.
I guess.
Yeah.
Later.
Okay. Yeah. Whenever you're ready. How'd we do last week? 1, 3, 3, and 4. Okay. All right. Okay.
I went 3 and 4, eh? I really thought I did so much worse.
That's pretty bad already, Adam.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I wasn't feeling good after Friday night when I was 0-3.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, Greg. Okay. Yeah, right. Bastards. Never trust those field guys. Welcome back to Inside the World of Box Lacrosse. I am Steven Stamp with Adam Levy, and Greg Beecher from Blue Squatch is moderating / producing / directing. And what a fun first part of the show it was, doing the Fantasy 6's draft for the concept of an NLL All-Star Weekend. And that was an absolute blast having Dan Arestia and Chris Rosenthall with us. But we are back to you, Adam, and me, Steven. And we are ready to make our picks. After last week was an interesting week, right, for everybody. You were like, oh, I had a terrible weekend. I had a terrible Friday night. I went 0-3 on Friday night. I was like, last week I did the week before I did really well.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, of course I figured it out. No. 0-3 on Friday. And then Saturday I bounced back, got all 4. You ended up at 3 and 4. You can see the season marks there. So we're going to get into it this week. And Adam, you want to start with the first pick this week? Actually, we got to get up the new. You can see the results from last week. They're all there for you to take a peek at. But this is what we're picking this week. And we've been so deep into getting our 6's teams ready to draft. Just kidding. We actually didn't have that much time for it because there's so much happening with all the trades, which normally would be highlighting the show. Mitch DeSnew and Chris Corbeil to Philadelphia in exchange for 2025 first. Of course, the huge one, Nick Rose going to Calgary, along with Tyler Hendricks and a 4th round pick. I don't even know which year that was actually, but whatever, it's a 4th. For
I think it was 2025.
Was it? Yeah, it makes sense. So and Toronto in return got quite a haul, a first in the loaded 2026 draft.
Yep.
Robert Hudson, a former 6th overall pick, and Go Abrams, who will help them in net because they, without Rosie, they're going to have Troy Holochuk and Go Abrams. That is basically, Nick Rose is a free agent, unrestricted free agent this year, can reject the franchise tag. So he basically could go back to Toronto, but that's also a trial because they love Troy Holochuk. And that's a 7-game trial for him to see if he can be the goalie of the present as well as the goalie of the future.
Yeah. No, it'll be so interesting to see how all these trades, and it does sound like the Rock are trying to make more deals to get some of the other unrestricted free agents shipped somewhere else, get some stuff in return. I mean, it is I have been thinking about it, and you should expect this from Jamie Dowick is as a poker player. obviously is taking a gamble by saying, hey, all of these unrestricted free agents, we'll offer him the best deal, or there's enough loyalty that they'll all come back. And I'm not saying that they won't, but it is interesting to take that risk. But at least he is getting a lot of pieces in return. And I know the Toronto Rock had posted the amount of draft picks they have in 2025 and 2026, and it is quite the haul.
Yeah, and they're good drafts. I mean, 2026 and 27 in particular are great drafts. The other trade, of course, Holden Katoni going from Philadelphia to Las Vegas, and in return, Shane Simpson coming. I found that one a bit surprising. You understand the Toronto ones because they are UFAs. They can all come back. All of them, Corbeil, Desnu, Rose, they can all come back if they want. But that's a real trade. That's no form of rental right there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think that as Coach Williams has said to me and to others, they really have been trying to figure out the right formula, the right pieces to make everything work. And they've been trying. And you have to give GM Williams credit for all the moves that he is making. Interesting little nugget I had put out that Hammer Jackson actually 6-1 in the last 7 games he's played with his teams, both Vancouver and now Las Vegas. So,
Wow.
it's being a GM, being a coach isn't easy in this league. 14 teams that are completely stacked. We saw that in our 6's draft, how competitive it can get with those rosters. So I applaud Coach Williams for the effort he's put in.
Yeah, I was a little surprised from Philly's perspective on that one because they've just added Desnu and Corbeil. And, I was a little surprised they went for another D guy. Now, their offense has been so loaded, but Holden Katoni, he's top 15 in the league in goals and points, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give too much away from my Inside Lacrosse piece that will be coming out later today on the moves that Philadelphia is making. But, it's pretty evident that defense in transition has been the glaring issue for them, and the offense is so stacked. And, maybe this opens up more opportunities for Brendan O'Neill to be Brendan O'Neill, which has been an amazingly fun project to watch.
maybe with Liam Patton out now, you were mentioning he was injured.
Yep.
Maybe that pushed them a little bit. I don't know how long that's going to be. Hopefully not too long. The other one that everyone's talking about now is immediately with Zed Williams being out, and we're not sure how long, but it didn't look good when he was leaving. Is Tom Schreiber a UFA? Because he could definitely reject the tag. Yeah. So does Schreiber go to Colorado?
Yep.
He does?
Yeah. It would be amazing. I mean, I've heard that from a handful of people.
Yeah.
It would be very interesting to see if that does take place. Yeah, I mean, Jamie is, and then also Brad Cree has been one of those guys being mentioned. It sounds like Halifax is the front runner at this point for him. What do they do with the deal? But yeah, those unrestricted free agents at Toronto right now, they all look like, they'll be someplace else until next season at least.
Jamie Dawick playing a bit of kingmaker in the NLL with having an impact on these rosters with the Toronto Rock. I think it's a really good strategy. You don't see it a lot, but it's just a very unusual circumstance with Toronto sitting at 3-8, which nobody thought was going to happen. I guess it was after the Georgia game, right? That things really coalesced. Like, okay, well, we just lost this. We're 3-8. It's going to be tough to make the playoffs. We're going to make a run. So we should get to our picks. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I believe one of the guys sitting here picked them to come in first.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Wait, was it me? No, okay, that's fine. Before I start chirping.
I was still, even in hindsight, I stick to that because had we known that everyone was going to be out for as long as they were going to be out and that things were going to be a real struggle. And that actually, to be honest, and this is why the strategy that Jamie is implementing is so critical, is because, on the face of it, if your team was that battered up, and he even said that on I think it's called Rock Total Access. I don't know the exact name of their podcast, but they were injured and they did go 0-5, but this wasn't a typical 0-5. And so and also even with the losses that they've had, they've been so close. So this is definitely not a 3-8 team that's really in the dumps. So I still would have believed that they would have been first. I wish they had done better. I know Toronto Rock fans had, but yes, I think you ready for the pick, Stamper?
Just about. I was going to say, I did take Buffalo to come first, so I feel pretty good about that. I had Saskatchewan. I had Toronto second as well. I had Saskatchewan to come higher than anybody else in our picks. And at IL Indoor, I had them fourth, and looking like they have a good chance to be higher than that. But I also did pick Albany to win the NLL finals. So I had to say that quietly because that obviously didn't work out. I played a little heavy on that one. So, I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to pick these things. Speaking of which,
We don't know. Albany
Georgia
still
and
might
Ottawa.
make the finals. That's still up for debate. I don't think we are mathematically out of it yet.
Yeah, they could. Okay, Greg. I've been on the Albany train, on the Firewolves train. I am pretty sure I'm off it now. And if they do come back, I'm going to be horrified because, well, I'll be happy for them. Obviously, you want everyone to succeed and do well. But if I get off the train and then all of a sudden the train picks up all the momentum in the world, well, we'll just pretend this conversation never happened and I stayed with them the whole time. Georgia and Ottawa.
Yes. So I'll start things off if that's cool, Stamper. And
So cool.
part of this, and this is the interesting thing about picking on this show, especially after we've been having these conversations. And I'm definitely swayed now by the 6's draft that just took place because I feel like I wasn't being as practical in my thinking as I want to be in this pick, and so I wish that I had picked Jeff Teat in the 6's draft, and now I feel like I'm going to pick Jeff Teat and the Ottawa Black Bears in this matchup to make up for my mistake.
Okay. I kind of wish I'd picked Josh Byrne instead of taking Brett Dobson first, although Brett Dobson again going to win games 23-18.
Yeah.
With Curtis Dixon scoring a ton of goals, we're gonna be good. I love my team. Okay, Georgia and Ottawa. It's so hard, and it's funny because I do have Dobson. I think he's terrific. He's not having his best season. Zach Higgins is the best goalie in the league this year, without question. I'm going to go with Ottawa for this one.
Well, let's just say, let's give credit for where credit is due. Brett Dobson, 55 saves and a caused turnover last week against Toronto. So very impressive. But I think to your point, like we need more of not necessarily that kind of play, but something closer to that on a consistent level. So that would be fantastic.
I don't know if you heard, but Brett Dobson has already received baskets of mini muffins from Philadelphia and who else got some of the Toronto players? The teams that are getting the Toronto players are sending him mini muffins.
Is that like real? Is that
no, not at all. Not even remotely.
I was going to be like, that is some amazing reporting.
Thanks. That would be good. It should probably happen now. So
yes,
guys, if you could make that happen, that'd be great. Maybe we'll shoot Paul Day a text and say, just send him some mini muffins. So we move on. I guess it's going to be my turn with Albany at Rochester. This is tough because I've picked Rochester a couple of times for some upsets, and one of them I got off and they won big, and I was so disappointed in myself. Then I picked them, and they did not do well. I picked them for the big upset against Saskatchewan, but I just think Albany is really coming together. They've got, to me, Colton Watkinson and Jackson Nitsamura being back is huge. I think they're coming together and looking more like the team we expected coming off of last season's great year. I'm going to go with Albany this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good game. And again, it's like, which Rylan Hartley are we going to see? But Rochester, man, their offense looks great. I also, again, been swayed by outside forces. Thomas McConvey is one of the two guests on the Lacrosse Matrix podcast this week. Really had such a great conversation with him. So go check that episode out. It's going to drop today. But you know what? I'm going to go Rochester. I like Albany a lot, and I think you're right. Again, it's one of those teams that has been snake bitten by injuries that you can't blame their record. And again, the tough losses for Albany on everything. But, I think that, in really looking over Rochester's schedule, I think that that's important when we look at their 5-7 record. 2 games against Buffalo, 2 games against Halifax, 2 games a game against Georgia, games against San Diego. It's been, or I'm mixing some of the schedule up there, but anyway, they 2 games against Saskatchewan is what I meant to say.
Right.
So they have played the cream of the crop this season and are still 5-7. So I'm going to go Rochester.
And I think, it's interesting that you didn't tell me before that McConvey was on the lacrosse matrix and getting the Levi bump this week.
True.
I'm
I'm not
sure. That was cunning.
Well, I don't know how real the Levi bump has been this season, but very, happy if it does come true, because that gets more viewers and listeners to the podcast.
There you go. Okay, so I guess you're up for Buffalo at Saskatchewan. Battle of the Titans, the top 2 teams in the league. Who you got this week between these 2 powerhouses?
This I really hope this ends up being the game of the year, like many of us want it to be. And it's very unfortunate. I guess now's a better time than ever again to just reaffirm with you that I am going away for the weekend and will not be able to watch any of these games.
Right.
So that is really sad. But I will be having an amazing time in San Diego with my wife, Nikki. So I won't be too sad to be missing those.
And happy anniversary to the 2 of you for whatever it is that you're celebrating. I know you 2 celebrate a lot of things, which I think is super cool. So enjoy that weekend.
So this is the big one. I mean, our wedding anniversary is March 25th, but we're going to an event that's taking place in early March or this weekend. So this is part of that celebration. 5 years of being married together. So one of those early milestones. I'm just going to say that I think that the Rush are going to win this game. I think it's going to be an incredible battle. I cannot wait for it. It will be interesting to see with the injuries on defense that Buffalo has right now that they haven't found replacements for yet. There's been some talks that they might make some moves before the deadline to try and find a replacement, particularly for Matt Spanger. We don't know about Dylan Robinson and the length that he'll be out. But I'm going to go with the Rush. Again, what I should have done the other week, just sticking with my team that I said was going to be one of those elite teams this year. And so I'm going to say the Rush.
Yeah, it's interesting when you bring up, Buffalo with the injuries, and do they fill in? I wonder if they were in the running to get Mitch Desnew and bring him back to Buffalo for a bit, because he was a guy that really gained a lot of attention when he went to Toronto, but he was so good with Buffalo already. I think people just hadn't noticed as much. 2022 Defender of the Year. So Buffalo, yeah, that's an interesting one. This should be such a great game. Can't wait to see this one. I'm going to go with the Rush as well. I think great game. I think. Wow. How about Saskatchewan? That would move them into first, right? Because they're 9-2 and Buffalo
first.
Yeah,
and
this
it
is the first place game. I wonder how many other people are, because I was the only one in our group that picked it. So I'm really hoping you guys are both right this week. But the Rush, that surprised me when when you said it and then Adam said it. When Levi said it first, I was like, hang on, did I hear that right? I thought maybe I wasn't paying attention, and then I saw Charity put the her new little icons, which I do love.
Which are fantastic, by the way.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, you can tell when she's involved in it and versus what I've made. I'll just say that and step out of the show now.
Because it looks better? Yeah. Fair enough. Well done, Charity. Thanks. I meant to mention those because I saw those. They look fantastic. Going to Denver for Calgary versus Colorado. And this one, this is one of those rivalries that goes way back, and huge results in playoffs over the years. I am going to, oh boy. How quickly does Nick Rose have an impact? Rose and Ward against each other. I'm going to go Calgary. Yeah, I was kind of leaning Colorado, but I'm taking Calgary. I think Rosie steps right in. He's familiar with a lot of those guys.
Do you think that he's going to be one of those impact players? Do you think he has a little bit of adjustment?
Well, he's been playing the game so long. Mm-hmm. And he's made so many adjustments through his career that I think he'll be able to make any adjustment he needs to without it really being a huge issue. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this game is the one where he's getting all the kinks out and Colorado blows him out of the water, and then he comes back against Buffalo and it is great, which obviously the Buffalo games are a big part of why Calgary got him, right? Mm-hmm. But I've made my pick. I'm staying with it. I will not waffle anymore because it doesn't work out when I do. or at least I won't give in to the waffle. I'm going to go with Calgary.
So I'm going to look a little bit into the data just because I was curious as you were talking about the battles between Nick Rose and Dylan Ward. And Nick Rose has won the last 3 of those battles, although they've been closer games. 2 of those games decided by 1 goal. I think that, again, when I'm talking as a writer, the story of Nick Rose coming in and really making the difference and the impact, and that to be compounded with Curtis Dixon and Dane Doby playing like absolute rock stars right now, on pace each for 50-plus goals. They'd be only the 3rd teammates in NLL history to have 50 goals each in an NLL season. So it really just feel like, Mike Board feels like this is the moment. And he did say something very interesting to me, because I know that I've been starting to publicly apologize to the Roughnecks fans and to the Roughnecks players for not picking them and not thinking they would do great. They have proved us wrong. And he was saying that, it's tough to be a prognosticator. It's tough to make those picks, especially in the preseason. He claims that they don't look at those, but I never trust a GM, a player, or a coach when they say they haven't seen any of our stuff out there talking about their teams. But I think that, they have been a great story, and I think Rose is only going to help that.
So you're picking?
I'm picking Calgary.
When you paused there, I thought you were going to say Colorado and just mess everybody up.
Who was it? Pat McAfee did that on a show. He riled up the Georgia fans during the college football season. And then it was them versus Alabama. And then he said, "Give me Alabama." And then everyone was like, "Boo, you suck." And no, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Well, you do get to pick the final game of the week first. So you got Halifax at Las Vegas.
Yeah, people aren't talking enough about this. And, obviously there's been so many different moves going on, so it might have been overshadowed a little bit. But this is the suspected return of Tyson Bell to the Halifax Thunderbirds.
Right.
His suspension is up, so he could be back. I heard from the Halifax Thunderbirds that it is there's some physicals and other things that he's going to go through. They're just going to make sure that he's ready to go. But I imagine that will be all set, and that will be just another boost to a team that is the hottest team next to the Saskatchewan Rush right now in the Halifax Thunderbirds. And with Vegas, yes, they make that move for Holden Katoni, but Thunderbirds, I think, are too good right now. I could never pick against them. And I really do think that them and I'm going to say San Diego, Saskatchewan, and Buffalo are my top 4 teams in the NLL right now. They all just look so talented. And really, again, if San Diego had beaten Buffalo for a second time last week, we'd be talking about them in a much different way.
True. So you've got Halifax. I love the addition of Holden Katoni for Vegas. Yeah, I mean, he's going to score a bunch. And I mean, I think he's going to create opportunities for, just because of his shooting. He's such a great shooter that it affects how they can play guys. So I think that, Casey Jackson and I mean, Jack Hanna's already kind of doing everything. Jonathan Donville, I think those guys are all going to thrive as well. But yeah, Halifax is playing really well. And I'm going to have to go with the Thunderbirds on this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, that Thunderbirds offense is really coming together with some great pieces. It's very interesting, obviously, in the 3rd year of this project to see how things are coming together. Very excited for Holden and for him to, prove himself in Las Vegas. So that'll be very interesting. I mean, all of these trades, all of these moves, this is really shaping up to be one of the best trade deadline. It's not the trade deadline, but the trade deadline kind of areas, periods, I guess I should say, that we've seen in a little bit with all the big names and everything moving. So very exciting.
The trade deadline shadow looming over the shoulders of GMs around the National Lacrosse League. The trade deadline isn't until March 10th at 3 p.m. It is a bit earlier this year after week 15 instead of week 16 as it was last year. But maybe it being earlier has sparked this flurry of moves. We'll see. And we'll see how we fare this weekend, week 14 of the National Lacrosse League season. Week 4, well, I don't know what week it is, a bit wobble because we didn't get started right with the season, but
we actually did. We started the week early. We did a week before, so we're week 15.
Oh, yeah.
I saved the files by the ITWOBL episode, so that's the only reason I know.
Oh,
but
well,
our 2 ITWOBL questions essentially from the viewers today, though, would be one, is Tyson Bell going to be able to get across the bridge, or is he going to be able to come into the United States with what's going on legally, because the suspension may be up, but we've heard rumors from some guys that the bigger issue is him getting back into the United States to play. And two, have you guys heard any rumors about Albany with trades? Are they pretty well set with what they've got? You think they won't be moving anybody?
You want to take the first one? I'll take the second one.
Yeah. I mean, so you're taking the first one? Sorry. And then
No, you're taking the first one.
taking the first one.
You're answering Tyson Bell coming across the bridge.
So I know that this has been a very difficult time for Tyson, and I want to, not harp on this too much, but I do think that, with the latest was that the court date got postponed again until April. I think that's going to keep getting postponed until after the season, I'm sure. And I don't imagine that he'll have trouble getting over the border. I don't necessarily know. These days, the border is a very tricky situation, more so than it's been in years past. But those work visas really do a wonder for these guys, and so I think that could help.
And in terms of Albany, they are not going to be making. I wouldn't say they're not going to make any moves, but I know they're not looking at making a lot of moves. For one thing, they only have one player who can be in the situation of a free agent, unrestricted free agent who can reject the franchise tag. That's Callum Crawford, who hasn't been playing. So I don't know. I mean, if somebody wanted to add Callum Crawford, I'm sure they would listen to offers for him, but I think Callum's pretty happy being with them if he can play. But I mean, there's nobody else that they can send as kind of a rental in that free agent situation. And they they've suffered all the injuries. They like the team that they have going forward. The management is all in on continuing on the path. And I think they're disappointed in this season, but they're not punting on this group that they've built. So they're not going to be big sellers.
Yeah, it would be interesting to look at Rochester, Vancouver, and Ottawa, even with where they are in the standings right now, and with the teams around them making moves. I don't know enough off the top of my head who I would be trading. I mean, it seems like Rochester definitely has been making some moves that they feel have been helpful to them. But Vancouver, I know that they probably feel a little hurt that the Roughnecks made a goalie deal, and it wasn't for Christian Del Bianco with Vancouver. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see any of those three teams and see what happens. Yeah.
And that'll wrap things up. Any other questions, Greg?
Well, I guess with that, as he was just talking about Del Bianco, what effect does this have? I mean, obviously it's got a huge impact, but with the Rose trade, what does that look like for next year? I don't know what Rose's contract situation is or anything.
So he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. He can reject the franchise tag because he's 33 years old or older. So he can go anywhere he wants. I think it's highly unlikely he stays with Calgary unless he has a really, just loves it. But I mean, he works at the Toronto Rock Athletic Center. He actually kind of runs the Toronto Rock Athletic Center. He's the manager or whatever. I can't see him not going back. The only thing is, if Troy Holochuk rips it up, if he's fantastic down the stretch, at some point, I mean, Nick Rose is 37,
36.
36. At some point you have to have a succession plan. So when do they move on? I don't think they're ready to pull the chute on Nick Rose, though. He's had, this year hasn't been his best, but the previous 4 seasons were his best 4 in the league. So I don't think they're just like, we're done with Rosie. I think there's a good chance he's back, but we'll see how Holochuk does. I think more impact is how well Aiden Walsh is playing for Vancouver. I mean, if you're Vancouver, do you need Christian Del Bianco? And obviously, everyone would love to have Christian Del Bianco on their team. He's a great goalie, probably the best on the planet. But it's a matter of what's the difference? Where is the variation? Like, how much better is Christian Del Bianco than Aiden Walsh?
How much are you giving up for him? Because
how much are you going to give up for that? Yeah. Exactly, because some of the names we were throwing around, we've said from the beginning we don't think Owen Grant is on the table, but Braden Laity, for sure, Ryan Martell, some of these guys, there could be key players that Calgary could be asking for. And if you're Kurt Malosky in Vancouver, you're saying, how much better is Christian Del Bianco that it's worth giving up these guys? I don't think Braden Laity's going anywhere at this point. A lot of these players, I just don't think at this point you give up. And as each year goes on, I mean, Christian Del Bianco is still a young guy. He's in his mid to late 20s. But, I mean, as each year goes on, Aiden Walsh is probably just going to get better. Maybe that gap shrinks even more. So I think, I think the market for that trade has actually changed substantially. Not so much just because of the Rose deal.
Yeah, I was talking with somebody about this yesterday, and I'm not sure if I want to name who it was, but anyway, they had suggested that maybe a 3-team deal would be the way to get that done, involve someone else. But yeah, from what it seems is that Calgary has been asking, and rightfully so, has been asking for a lot in return for Christian Del Bianco. And it's been great. I have to say, I've been loving seeing Christian feel free and loose to express his feelings on social media and now on his new podcast. That's been very cool to see that. So, but it's also at the same time just crazy, to take a line that, Dan Arestia was saying in our 6's draft earlier about how Jeff Teat went 5th and how it's like crazy how that happened. Well, it's almost crazy that we're talking about, well, if Troy Holochuk does this and then for Rose, or if Aiden Walsh plays this well, there's no Del Bianco. We're talking about Christian Del Bianco here. Like, this is like, someone's got to do something for him.
Yeah. I mean, probably the best goalie on the planet. Definitely the best passing goalie.
Oh, he's unreal.
On the planet, right?
And I think what's been interesting, and when I spoke to him last, this was actually on the Lacrosse Matrix podcast. He was saying that, in the Arena Lacrosse League, things are so different because he is still playing for the Grizzlies there out in the West, in the Vancouver area, that, he's able to try certain things. He's able to take certain risks. And that can be a very empowering and creative space to be in when you're an NLL goaltender, to know, hey, I tried this. I didn't have any opportunity to do that before. Now I know I can do it. I've practiced it, and I can incorporate that into my already incredible game. So, I know the talent level isn't the same as the NLL, but I think as a creative project and keeping him in shape, it's a great thing for him.
So you're saying he could try all these things, come back and be even better than he was. That's scary.
That's really scary.
Yeah. Greg, other questions?
No, that pretty much wraps it up. Thanks, guys, so much. I'm not sure whose idea this originally was to do the whole 6's, but I think it was your Stamper. I loved it. This was so cool. Hopefully we'll get better at it and it'll get prettier up, and now we'll have more and more of the names and keep them updated on the graphics. But no, that was a blast, because especially getting to see, I don't deal with field at all. That's the most field contact I've had since I found box lacrosse. So, I mean, that's the most I've talked about it. I do love the chance to kind of step out and get a look at it, because a lot of the things, I didn't know the rules about when you shoot out, it goes to the other team, like as you say it should be, not that whoever's closest to it. And I actually do agree with you there. I don't know. I think you kind of need a reward for hitting the net.
Yeah. Why do you get the ball when you miss the net? Makes no sense. What sport do you get that? What other sport? There's none.
Yeah.
It was actually Adam brought that idea to the table. We're not going to say where it came from exactly, but Adam did bring the idea to us, and he brought it to me because he was busy with a bunch of projects and was wondering if I wanted to take it on. We were going to try and do something last week, and actually it arose as saying, "Hey, there's this PLL tournament, these 6's teams. I wonder what kind of team you could put together from NLL players." So I started to just put together a team, and I mean it was Dane Smith and Jeff Teat and Josh Byrne and Zach Courier, and within about 5 or 6 guys, I was like, "This isn't fair to the teams that just play, because we're just picking the 12 best players."
Well, to be fair, you picked 8 teams when you were trying to narrow it down for the players to send us. 6 guys apiece. You picked 8 teams to send us, and then to still get the other perspective where there was like 4 guys that, I love it. It's a chance for me to look into the guys that I don't normally get to talk to. I mean, everybody knows Josh Byrne and Dane Smith are doing great things, but to hear like the insight of like, Ryan Lee doesn't necessarily, he's not your guy with the ball, but what a difference he was last year. And like learning those little things is what makes this so exciting for me. So thanks, Adam, very much for sharing the idea with Stamper and then passing it along to us to be a part of it.
Hey, thank you, and to Charity for sorry.
She doesn't want to be on the camera ever though, or the mic. She just sits in the background now. She's starting to supervise me, so things will hopefully go smoother.
I have to admit, every once in a while we hear in the background telling you what you should be doing to sort things out, which is also much appreciated.
All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody. We will do this again next week. I can't wait. It's been a pleasure as always. And next week we'll be back to our normal show where we just kind of go through a few highlights, the week in review, the picks, and then our awards. But we were talking about doing some lists. So everybody stay tuned, stay up to date. Adam, I know you've got a ton of stuff. So if you would like to tell us where everybody can find all your stuff, Stamper, we'll let you tell everybody how to find you guys at Inside Lacrosse, where you guys can stay up to date with all the trades and everything else that's going on. And I'll shut up until the show's over. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, I mean, just as a quick run through, as always, I mean, Stamper and I have been doing some great coverage both on social media and for IL Indoor on all the stuff that's been going down. Stamper, your musings are coming up, I believe, soon. We've got a piece that I'm putting together right now on the Wings and how they've looked at their deals that they've made. Obviously, the latest piece that was up, Stamper first and the IL Indoor crew put up the initial Toronto trade, but then there was more reaction from Mike Board, Nick Rose, and others. Like I said, 2 episodes of the Lacrosse Matrix podcast. Thomas McConvey and Paul Dawson is the other one. Paul's just such a good dude. We talked a lot about his block shots, as he is now officially, as of today, although this will go back and forth with him and Robert Hope, but right now, Paul Dawson, the all-time leader in block shots with 67. Although I had to ask him, even because block shots have only been tracked since 2001, the 2021 season, how many block shots does he actually think he's had in his career since 2007? So we tried to come up and do the math there. It's a lot.
Has it changed a lot how much he blocks shots? Because it seems like it's more of a recent fad.
So it has gone up actually each and every year for him. So that is interesting to see, but he has always been that fearless, selfless guy who plays gritty. So it would have been interesting to see what his numbers would have been throughout his career. But yeah, it is interesting that his numbers have gone up. But that also might be from the fact, because I feel like so many guys' numbers are up. It's like there's so many guys who are on pace to break the record, and that was the same last year. So maybe the NLL statisticians are giving more block shots than in the past.
Maybe they should focus more on getting the cost turnover numbers correct.
No comment from me on that one.
Okay. I just think that cause turnovers are so important and so valuable, and they don't. I mean, you'll see one game there'll be like 3 cause turnovers for a team. I'm pretty sure they cause more than 3 turnovers. Another game a team might have 12 or something. I'd like to see that a bit more consistent. Although in the end, it seems to work out pretty well. I mean, we know guys like Matt Hosk and Ryan Dilks are causing a lot of turnovers. Zach Currier, even when he's playing offense. But yeah. And what else you got? That's not everything, right? For you.
For
we
me,
may not have time to talk about everything you're doing before your anniversary.
I don't know. It's been such a whirlwind. I think that is it. I might have another piece for IL Indoor coming up this week. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think that's everything for me.
Is that the Armenia piece?
It might that might be that might be on there.
We said it's inside the world of box lacrosse. Armenia now a part of that, and so many nations are getting to be part of this great game. It was so much fun this week doing the 6's draft. Thanks again to Dan Arestia and Chris Rosenthall, my fellow Moon Bear, and thanks of course to Adam Levy. And you can see all my stuff on Inside Lacrosse on IL Indoor and here on ITWOBL. Thanks again to Greg and Charity for everything they do on the other side. And we'll be back next week. And I promise we won't go for almost 2 hours next week. I promise we won't. We really won't. And it's been great as always. And we'll see you next time here on Inside the World of Box Lacrosse.